Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into today's second video. We're going to have a look at weather for 10 to 14 days for today's second video. Day 10 will take us to the 30th of January, and we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and ECM ensembles. Maybe I'm trying to couple of weeks. We'll have a look at CFS V2 at the end of the video for the next 4 weeks. Gets us into the second half of February. I'll get time back for you in a moment. Just to say that the first video series are 6 AM UK weather forecast. Please like, share, subscribe on both of today's videos. Thank you so everyone for doing that. The GavsWeatherVids, thank you so much everyone. We need to put on around 70 subscribers to get ourselves to 19.5k. So if you could give us a sub, tell your friends and family to subscribe, that'd be absolutely awesome. So much everyone for doing that. The GavsWeatherVids, thank you so much. Right, let's start off with the Arctic oscillation observed and forecast. Check this out everybody. The black line shows where we've been with the AO, red lines at the end with the GFS ensembles are forecasting Arctic oscillation to go. That's generally quite a negative AO through this winter so far since about the middle of February. It looks like we've been in generally a long-term sort of negative AO situation. We're still currently weekly negative with the Arctic oscillation as well, but the GFS ensembles are forecasting that the AO is really going to be lifting up through the last week or so of January into the beginning of February, going very strongly positive there with the Arctic oscillation. That tells us that the blocking signal that we've had at times through this winter is going to be relaxing and reducing, and we're going to be replacing high pressure within the high latitudes with low pressure, and that keeps the cold air, it tends to keep the cold air bottled up within the Arctic and within the polar region as well. So that is a signal for milder conditions in the mid latitudes. Generally, there are exceptions to that, of course. This how the NEO is looking. That's also on the move. So currently weekly negative with the NEO, but the GFS ensembles are forecasting that the NEO will also be lifting into positive territory through the last week or so of January into early February. And so this is a signal for westerlies. It's a signal for a return of the westerlies. Westerlies strike back, the Atlantic strikes back, etc., etc., etc. You know, when you've got the AO and the NEO both coupling like this into a positive phase for Western and Northern Europe anyway, it's a strong signal for low pressure to be heading in, and you know, low pressure on ice and high pressure through the Azores, strengthening the zonal westerly flow, and basically it's a mild but potentially wet and windy stormy type pattern for Northern and Western Europe. Central temperature is currently sitting at 2.5. That's actually ticked down 0.1 of a degree from yesterday. It's provisional to yesterday, to the 19th of January. I think that will gradually tick its way up through the course of this week, and then when we get to the end of the week and into the weekend, it should start to be a little bit more. So I think by the weekend we're probably going to be into below threes, and then we'll wait and see where we go from there. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles the next couple of weeks. On Cardiff today, red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Cardiff, and we're starting off below average with the upper air temperature at the moment. They're going to get a tick up though when we get through towards the end of the week, and then they're coming back down again into the weekend. Overall very up and down though, so that looks really zonal when we get to about Thursday onwards. We've got these warmer and cooler and warmer and cooler and warmer and cooler sectors alternated with one another, and you will think when you average it all out we come out about average, because we have warmer and cooler sectors offsetting one another, but that doesn't quite work out like that at this time of year. This time of the year, when you have zonality like that, a zonal sine wave, that really we really come out above average with the temperature. Reason being that even when you're in the cooler sectors, it's not that cool because it's Atlantic driven flow. It's disturbed pattern, so the nights tend to be quite breezy, and therefore we don't get night frost. And also when the bands of rain come through, and we're in the warmer sectors, they can come through at night sometimes as well. So this time of year in winter, zonality will be a signal for generally above average temperatures, even when we've got those cooler sectors coming through. But summer, it's the reverse, and zonality will actually deliver cooler than average conditions. But at this time of year, zonality, zonal Atlantic flow is a mild signal overall. Precipitation-wise, a lot of dry weather to come for the next day or two, but turning more unsettled at the end of the week. Wet and windy into the weekend, and this unsettled weather then lasting through the final week of January into early February. Plenty of bouts of rain coming in from off the Atlantic, looking really unsettled, and, you know, could be the wettest phase of the winter, actually, through this last week or so of January. Bit of a deluge. Temperature anomalies for the next 5 days from tropicaltidbits.com, coming out close to average, not a particularly big deviation either way. We're looking at 6 to 10 day time frame. Well, then we see a cooler average temperature anomalies for Scotland and Ireland, slightly above average for England and Wales. Not massively warm though, despite the Atlantic flow. I think the reason for that is that the low pressure that's going to be bringing this unsettled weather is being fueled by really cold, and I mean really, really severely, extremely, exceptionally, dangerously cold air into North America. And whilst that, of course, is modified as it comes across the Atlantic Ocean, it will still have something of a chill to it. So probably a slightly cooler westerly type flow than we would normally get in a typical zonality, meaning that for England and Wales, it's just slightly above average in the 6 to 10 day time frame, and actually a little bit below average for Scotland and also for Ireland. Precipitation anomalies in the next week up to the 27th of January, looking wetter than average for southern western regions, near normal in central and eastern areas, a bit drier than average to northeastern Scotland. Notice it's very, very wet for Portugal and much of Spain, away from southern and eastern parts of Spain and southern France over the next week, but really dry for many central and eastern areas. We still have that high pressure dominating in central and eastern parts of Europe. That's a very different way of looking at temperature, precipitation, knowledge from Tropical Tidbits. Let me know in the comments if you'd like me to carry on with these charts, whether you'd like me to go back to the traditional charts if and when they come back online. It's certainly an updated map. I know a lot of you found those traditional precipitation and temperature anomaly maps a bit strange in that they didn't show Eastern European countries that happened since the end of the Soviet Union. So I'm not sure why they're using those old-fashioned maps, but these are detailed. This is a detailed map, of Europe. The only snag is that we don't see all that much of Scandinavia. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comments, everyone, which version of temperature and precipitation anomalies you would like me to continue with. Right, okay, thanks to Richard Short for supplying those charts from Tropical Tidbits for us. Right, okay, let's bring from that from knowleschool.net, looking like this. Low pressure is gathering in the Atlantic with high pressure across central and also east parts of actually starting to ease away to the east. It's not a quick process to break down the high pressure though, and it's not going to be until about Thursday, Friday that the low pressure properly starts to break through from the Atlantic. And the reason that's happening, as I explained in the live stream yesterday, is that we're having a proper cold blast from Canada into the United States. So, of course, this is the eastern seaboard of the states just here. And we've got these northerly winds have descended from Canada, bring true Siberian air, actually plunging southwards through Canada into North America. Notice we've got low pressure around here, so that cold air is hitting the Atlantic on the east coast and generating instability, generating low pressure as the cold air mixes with the warm Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf Stream, and also it's revving up the jet stream as well. And the upshot is that we're going into a spell of stormy weather. I can actually show you what's happening in America today on this inauguration day for a certain President Trump, 47th president, isn't he? I think so. Well, look at this. Cold northerly winds blasting down across many central and eastern parts of the states. And normally it's got all the way down into the Gulf of Mexico. Oh, there's someone at the door. Hold on, everybody. That's my neighbour Leah. Somebody at the door. There's somebody at the door. What show was that from? Was that Rain to Go? Somebody in Rain to Go. Somebody at But I can't remember. Somebody will know in the comments, I'm sure. Anyway, back to business. So sorry about that, everybody. Back to business. So look at the upper air temperatures we've got across America at the moment, and you see how extraordinarily cold it is. The polar vortex has basically collapsed from Siberia into Canada and is moving into North America at the moment. We've got -10 cells iceberg all the way down into Texas, for example. -5 cells iceberg is virtually down to the Gulf Coast, and it's trying to get into Florida as well. And to the north of that, well, you don't really want to know how cold the upper air temperatures are, but down to like -20, -30 in terms of the upper air temperatures and the isotherms and whatnot. And of course, on the east coast, this cold air is pushing through as we speak. So they're clearing out the milder air, turning bitterly cold. And again, that's helping to fuel low pressure in the Atlantic that will be delivering very unsettled stormy weather for us in a few days' time. The jet stream gets pepped up. Right, let's start going through chart data now. I haven't got the UK Met Euro run today, unfortunately. I don't know what's happened to that, but it didn't update this morning. So I'm going to start off with Icon. So this is how Icon is looking for midnight on Friday. Deep areas of low pressure coming in from the Atlantic, bringing wet and windy weather in with it. That low pressure goes off up towards Iceland. Things are a little bit quieter for a time through Saturday, Sunday. Then another deep low sweeping in slowly through to Monday, potentially bringing gale force winds and heavy rain sweeping in from off the Atlantic. Very mobile, very active pattern, and we've got to keep a close eye on this little daughter low down here, this secondary low that might develop into a significant area of low pressure and affect more southern areas through the early part of next week. That's going to be one to watch. The KMA is looking like that. So again, we're starting off with low pressure deepening in the Atlantic. The worst of this first storm, I think, going to be just to the north and west of us. But I would expect this will still be named because it is going to give a real blow, particularly to Ireland and possibly into northern and also western Scotland. But the worst of that is generally going to be out in the Atlantic. It does look pretty horrendous, though. Will affect Scotland and the Northern Isles with severe gales and potentially for the Northern Isles storm force winds. Though I would expect that will be named, even though some more southern areas not really been impacted too much on that. Now another deep low then developing later on in the weekend. That one looking pretty horrendous as well, especially so for Ireland and for Scotland. My word, that could be giving it over 100-mile-an-hour gusts there. There's that little secondary low. Now, the KMA doesn't develop that too much, but, still needs watching. And then beyond that, we keep it flat westerly, basically, right way up to the 1st of February. We maintain unsettled, potentially wet, windy, possibly quite stormy conditions as well. So, sorry everyone. Okay, this shall be a GFS midnight run. It's looking Thursday for a real changeover day from a generally quietish weather. Start bringing some bands of rain from off the Atlantic. Check out the jet stream on Thursday. This is midnight Thursday. Look at that jet. It's got our name on it. Well and truly, that is the upshot of the cold plunge into America. Moving the cold air moving out into the Atlantic. It really revs up the jet stream, revs up the Atlantic, and off and running we go into a stormy spell of weather. If anyone remembers the winter of 2013-14, we had this pattern pretty consistently throughout the entire winter, especially so in January and February of 2014. I don't think this is going to last as long as that. I think when this cold air begins to ease off in America, we'll probably start finding our way back to higher pressure again. So that's tended to be the trend through this winter. So I'd imagine we've got like a week or two of this stormy weather rather than weeks and weeks and weeks of it. Famous last words. But anyway, you see how that really strong jet stream is coming across the Atlantic on Thursday. And so the upshot of that is this area of low pressure. I expect will be a named storm by the end of the week, bring severe gales to Ireland and also to Scotland. England will get away with it to some degree at the end of the week. But by the time we get through to the beginning of next week, further wet and windy weather is starting to sweep in from off the Atlantic. And again, there's projection for next Monday, a bit further southwards now, with the core of the strongest of the winds there. But still, nevertheless, bring a real battering with that area of low pressure. Of course, projection is a bit further south. The areas of low pressure could be a bit further southwards with their severe gales as well. And on we go into day 10 and beyond it. It's looking unsettled, but just beyond day 10, start generating a ridge, trying to break out of the unsettled weather, so potentially going a bit drier and colder right into the beginning of February there, with low pressure coming back in and a bit of a hint of some high pressure building over Scandinavia. Nothing much comes back because the Atlantic is still too active, but into the first week of February, possibly seeing a colder variety of but zonality, and we've got to watch those heights up to the north and to the northeast. Last night's GFS 18 said, last night's pub run actually generated quite a cold first week to February in its extended range. We don't think that's likely at the moment, but we'll see. Then we've got the GFS 6Z looking like this. Again, we've got stormy weather developing with that area of low pressure at the end of the week, and then into the weekend looking rather cold and showery. Then another deep low sweeping through, certainly through Monday and Tuesday, with heavy rain, gale force winds and whatnot, keeping it unsettled but quite mild to day 10, drawing up a southwesterly wind then. And then again, trying to break out of the very unsettled weather by early February, start of February, with some higher pressure beginning to build up. This time, high pressure coming up from the south, so it's a relatively mild bridge, but it could bring some frost and fog in with it. But you see very quickly the GFS today, both GFS runs, trying to break us out of this stormy spell. So it could well be that stormy spell, which remember is being caused by this really cold plunge into America. Once that runs out of steam, once the cold air runs out of steam, it could be that this stormy spell runs out of steam relatively quickly. We might only be looking at a week or so of very unsettled weather, and then we're back to higher pressure, which again has been like the trend of the winter, really. Well, if you enjoyed the video, please like, share and subscribe. Thanks so much everyone for doing that. Drop a comment, let us know what you think about this and all of our videos and content. Don't forget to friends back GavsWeatherVids, get them to subscribe too. Thanks so much everyone for doing that. 70 subscribers will get us to 19.5k, so if you could give us a sub, that'd be absolutely awesome. Thank you so much everyone. Okay, GM again with low pressure coming in from off the Atlantic on Thursday, show rain with it, and deep low pressure Friday through to Saturday, storming in the north and west, wet windy in the south, more wet windy weather, potentially stormy weather by the beginning of next week as well, with gale force winds affecting some parts, going to very severe gales too, and the westerly flow, the zonal flow maintained up to day 10, which gets us to the 30th of January, flat as a pancake then, with lots of low pressure to the north and high pressure to the south. And then the ECM is looking like this. So once more, it's Thursday, but it's a changeover day as a trough of low pressure comes in from the Atlantic. Then we turn stormy Friday through Saturday into the north and the west. Another deep low sweeping in from Sunday to Monday. That one a bit further south was bringing the threat of gales even to more southern parts of the country. Lots of heavy rain mixed in with that as well. Early next week looking really unsettled with bouts of rain also, and up to day 10, well, the Atlantic westerly flow continues, and we've got a push of southwest winds there potentially at day 10. Beyond that, though, the ECM, again, similar to the GFS, trying to break us out of this unsettled weather around the 1st of February, with heights beginning to rise to the south. But the ECM actually keeps it pretty unsettled, more or less to the end, although by the end of it, which gets us to the 4th of February today, we are seeing signs of some ridging to both the south and to the east. I've got to think we've got about a week, maybe 10 days of this stormy spell, and then we'll start going back into higher pressure. But whether that will be a cold high or a mild high, remains to be seen. This is a precipitation forecast based on that ECM run from Precipitation.com. So, a lot of clouds, showery bursts, for the next day or two. Not overly unsettled. It's really on Thursday that we bring a proper band of rain across the country. Once that gets out of the way, then we're opening the door to the Atlantic. That's Friday, looking very wet and windy from the south. Snow as it bumps into colder air further north. And then windy, showery conditions into the weekend. Another spell of wet, windy, potentially stormy weather by the beginning of next week. And you'll notice further bands of rain waiting in the wings there by day 10, the 30th of January. These are the odds on table within the ECM ensembles today for day 10 from the Icelandic Met Office. So these are from last night's 12Z set. The ECM ensembles didn't update at the Icelandic Met Office this morning. Last night, 32 members of the ECM ensembles, including Charm, the operational run, were still unsettled at day 10, with lots of wet and windy weather in the Atlantic. 10 with low pressure just to the west, something a bit higher with pressure to the northeast, and 9 with deep low pressure over top of the country, all looking very unsettled, I have to say, at day 10 there. And then in 2 weeks' time, these were the options that we had. That's just to the 3rd of February. So 35 members of the ECM ensembles then had high pressure taking over from Scandinavia. Interesting, bring the wind around from the east, and 16 had low pressure continuing the onslaught. So again, we may well break up this unsettled weather, stormy weather relatively quickly. Certainly by early February, we could be looking at a change back to higher pressure. Of course, where that high sits will be the all-important critical factor as to whether it's mild or cold. CFS V2, finally, these are 500 millibar. High tolerance breakdown to week bids. The first week bid takes from the 20th, 26th of January. But next week, with low pressure in the Atlantic, so obviously, they explained it's going to be very unsettled and potentially at times quite stormy. Week 2 will be the 27th of January, 2nd of February. Low pressure out in the Atlantic. High pressure is away to the east. That starts to bring up more of a southerly flow, though, so that should be quite mild. And maybe a bit drier for the south and the east as well. And then week 3 is the 3rd to the 9th of February. Almost got a Scandinavian high going there. That could be bringing some quite chilly air in from off the Atlantic with below pressure being blocked. So this is a bit of a change from the CFS. And then week 4 looks like that. It's the 10th to 16th of February. Then the high pressure is over and to south of the country, drawing up a southwesterly flow. Generally quite mild, but there could be potential for something a bit colder there in week 3. So we shall see. Sorry everyone. Right, I think better wrap it up there. We're done. If you've enjoyed the video, please do like, share and subscribe. Make sure for doing that. Why not drop a comment? Let's know what you think that was on all of our videos, content, etc, etc. And don't forget to tell your friends about GavsWeatherVids and get them to subscribe too. Thank you everyone for doing that. So tomorrow we're going to have a 6 AM UK weather forecast. We'll have the extended European outlook, and of course there'll be a 10 to 14 day as well. You enjoy the rest of your Monday. And for this one, though, that's all for now. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. And bye for now.